Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to speak to you about our project Rescue Ranger VR, which is a VR intervention that we developed to promote brain health. So this intervention was developed with the idea of brain aging and Alzheimer's disease risk in mind. So it's really the marriage of neuroscience plus health plus engineering. And the idea here was to develop a combination treatment that simultaneously involves physical exercise and spatial navigation in a virtual reality environment. And so it's bringing together physical activity and cognitive training. And the rationale here is that with exercise, we're giving these newly formed neurons new information to learn, which will increase the likelihood that these new neurons will integrate into a memory network. And so for a while, we thought we were born with all the neurons we'd ever have. We now know that there's a process called neurogenesis, which allows us to actually birth new brain cells. And this happens in the hippocampus, which is the memory center of the brain. And physical activity actually accelerates this process. So thereby incorporating cognitive training, we can give these new neurons something to learn. So neurons that fire together, wire together. And so this is really the principle underlying long-term potentiation. And this is a neuroscientific principle that's been discovered, in which increased synaptic strength between neurons following persistent repetitive stimulation allows those neurons to form a network. And so this is the underlying principle guiding learning and memory. It's relevant to aging and Alzheimer's disease because spatial memory is computed in the hippocampus and is believed to be a key deficit within Alzheimer's disease. The hippocampus and really more broadly, the prefrontal cortex both show early dysfunction in aging and Alzheimer's disease. So these are the two brain areas and the two functions that we would like to target. And by doing this, we can leverage an ecologically valid approach to upregulate these positive brain events. And so we're taking our participants and putting them in this VR environment to be able to try to integrate physical activity and cognitive activity together. So whenever we have a new intervention, we want to think about the hypothesized target pathway. So how we get from the intervention to our desired outcome, which is brain health. So here we have the intervention of combined physical and cognitive activity. This is a participant sitting on a stationary bike with an HMD. And we know that these types of activities upregulate certain neurotrophic factors in the brain, such as BDNF, IGF-1, and VEGF. And in return, the increase in concentration of these neurotrophic factors increases neurogenesis that I mentioned earlier. Neurogenesis here happens in the hippocampus, the dentate gyrus of the hippocampus. And by doing these types of activities, we think we can strengthen the network connectivity between regions like the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, resulting in stronger network connectivity and ultimately resulting in improved cognition or maintained cognition in domains such as memory and executive function. And these are targeted here because we know that these tend to decline early in aging. So here I'll tell you the storyboard for the project. So we wanted to really come up with something that would be fun and engaging, but also really worthwhile with its approach to impacting brain health. And so we came up with this idea to be able to engage our participants. So Rookie Ranger, the animals have escaped. With the help of Buddy the dog, your mission is to find and return the animals of South Sanctuary. As you complete your mission, you will move up the ranks and earn new badges. Let's go. So here I'm going to show a little video of our VR environment. So you will see me sitting on a bike and exercising. So it's a stationary bike, and that's the physical activity component of it. And then in the VR environment, you can see the cognitive training aspect of it. And so here you'll see these red arrows. These red arrows indicate where to go in the path. So this is considered one of the learning trials. And then you'll see a few other components in the VR environment. So here, let me go ahead and play this. So that's me with the HMD on, sitting on a stationary bike that we built, navigating through our aviary, so where we have our animals and our birds rescued, You can see the red arrow directing me to go right because I'm learning a new path. And as I go through, I'm also collecting items. For this specific trial, I am collecting food to feed the animals. So once I get to the end of the path, I throw out the food to the animals. And they have these little heart emojis to show me that they're happy that I fed them and I completed the trial. So this paradigm in this study was really developed with this interdisciplinary team of engineers, neuroscientists, data scientists, those in cinematic arts and so forth, and also all of our faculty advisors and collaborators, and really led by Ashwin Sakre, who's a BME, a biomedical engineering PhD student, and Joy Stratford, who is our project manager and helps with a lot of the recruitment of our participants, and the rest of the team who have had an artist's hand in it. So here I'm just going to show you one of our imaging outcomes that we like to look at, and this is one of the ways that we measure brain health. And so this is a high resolution hippocampal scan. This is a brain scan, so when a participant goes in an MRI scanner, we can take this really nice three-dimensional image of their brain. Here we focus in on the hippocampus that I mentioned earlier. You can see it blown up here. And now with our pairing together technology for our high resolution hippocampus plus analytic programs, we can automate the segmentation of certain regions of the hippocampus and the subfields. So right here in purple is the dentate gyrus that I mentioned earlier, and wanting to see how these change with the intervention. So our big picture for brain health is really within Rescue Ranger VR, we're only targeting these two modifiable lifestyle factors for brain health. And so it's physical activity and cognitive stimulation. But you can see that there's an entire range of other modifiable risk factors that we can think about, ways to improve sleep, hypertension or high blood pressure, and even our diet. But there's also all these other intrinsic factors that we have to think about that are not modifiable. So our age, our biological sex, our genotypes, and our family history. And together, these intrinsic factors plus these modifiable lifestyle factors together confer brain health from an Alzheimer's brain, focusing on these pathologies. So amyloid, or the plaques that you often have heard of, tau or the tangles, but also these other areas as well. So vascular health, inflammatory responses, and ultimately cognition that we really care about. So our ultimate goal is to be able to think about these different interventions, these different modifiable lifestyle factors, and how we compare them together in meaningful ways with the use of technology such as VR to be able to promote brain health. So with that, I want to acknowledge this incredible team that I have the privilege to work with. It's really interdisciplinary, and it takes a village to be able to create something like this. Also our research participants and all of our funding agencies. And with that, I'll say thank you to you for listening and provide my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions, and also our lab website. Thank you very much.